New Zealanders commend this bill to the House.
I understand this is a split call. We'll call Darien Fenton.
Yep. Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, I'm taking a call on the Electronic Identity Verification Bill and Identity Information Confirmation Bill, cognate bills. And it's fair to say, Mr Speaker, that the Electronic Identity Bill has had a much smoother ride than the other bill, the Identity Information Confirmation Bill. I put a lot of that down to my colleague Ruth Dyson and her excellent chairing of the Government Administration Committee, because if you look back at the Identity Information Confirmation Bill, it dates right back to 2010, and very unfortunate timing of its introduction, I think, as my colleagues have referred to, and I think it was very embarrassing for the government actually to have to debate the first reading of that bill not long after David Garrett was exposed for actually stealing someone's identity, in fact a dead baby's identity. And so it is a little bit ironic to be debating this bill tonight, and I can't help, Mr Speaker, but referring back to that time, and also the fact that we've had so many breaches by this government, and again my colleagues have listed them, and you know the numbers are really mounting now, aren't they? The numbers of breaches across government departments. I mean, ACC, massive breach, Work and Income New Zealand, IRD, Immigration New Zealand. Now we're just starting to get to the tip of the iceberg on Immigration New Zealand, and it's worth pointing out that the privacy breaches that are being identified are starting to come out, and Immigration New Zealand holds enormous amounts of information from people, and rightly many people are concerned not only that their privacy has been breached, but actually they haven't been informed of that privacy breach. So I'm certainly following that up. And, you know, I think it's very important that the government is upfront about this. I remember way back in the Government Administration Committee when we first did the Births, Deaths and Marriages bills, and that was in the good old days when Labor was still in government, and how much suspicion there was around that was about opening up the registers to New Zealand through the digital systems, and a huge amount of suspicion. And it was very understandable. And way back then, you know, there were identity frauds were starting to occur. But now, look today. I mean, an average of 2,000 New Zealanders affected by online scams, identity theft, credit card fraud, and sophisticated viruses every day. And according to Vida Advantage, for the 2008-09 year, there were more than 7,000 incidences of fraud and false pretences using credit and bank cards and credit by fraud. And the New Zealand Police identified 900 cases of identity fraud in New Zealand in 2009. And I think that, you know, those are just a fraction of the real figure. And I understand, it's very understandable why New Zealanders feel so anxious about their private information, because it can be misused, as other colleagues have referred to. And it's also something very personal, our unique identity. It belongs to us, and they're precious to us. And I mean, in the past, we've held them in the form of passports and licences, driver family documents, family photos and diaries. Many of those, of course, get lost in things like the dreadful Christchurch earthquake. You know, some of those things like family photos will never be recovered. But the public records do hold on our behalf many of the most important things about our identity. And that means that the New Zealand state has a special responsibility to treat that information about our identity with particular care. Every New Zealand citizen has something on the record, Mr Speaker. Technological developments mean that access to personal information is changing. Personal information has become a valuable commodity to be bought, sold, combined, sorted, profiled and mined, meaning that the opportunities for misuse are expanding every day. So we have to recognise the importance of the real threat there is around identity fraud. The state has to take particular care. I'm pleased that the Privacy Commissioner has satisfied with the legal safeguards and controls in this bill. We hope that will hold true, and we hope that this bill will see a real improvement in the government's iGovernment strategy and in the government's protection of private information.
Thank you. I call Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak to the electronic identity